Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc!
Welcome to Negative Camber, the Motorsport Show, brought to you by Pro Kart's Race Centre.
Far enough back, he's going to make the lunge down the inside.
The ultimate pit stop.
The safety car is coming in.
Fueling your passion for motorsport.
With an emotional moment that means everything.
All of the latest results, analysis, and interviews.
Roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race.
I'm Jamie Lemura, motorsport enthusiast, historian, and media presenter.
And I'm Leigh Harrison, motorsport professional, Sprint Master Karts race driver, and Formula One alumni.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Negative Camber, the Motorsport Show. I'm your host Jamie Lemura on what has been an absolute cracking weekend for weather. At the very least, Royal Show is absolutely pumping and that's wound down, and someone that was pumping out results takes a very special breed to not only fit in a pair of lycra or air suctioned skinny leg jeans, also back-to-back state titles as well, when none other than the co-driver in this caper of ours in Negative Camber, Mr. Leigh Harrison. Hello, my friend.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Congratulations, first of all. Very special effort to win back-to-back, and it was a very, very tough circuit physically at the Barossa. So props to you, my friend. Well done.
Cheers, yeah. I'm running two classes as well, back-to-back, so it was like 160 laps overall for the day, with not much break in between. So, yeah, definitely took it out of me, but still felt pretty good come Saturday night and felt even better Sunday morning, and, yeah, business as usual.
The word around the street in the Harrison household was the Thyre Harrison household was the peacocking was at such a level that the feathers were found on the floor the next morning on Sunday when you woke up.
That was because everyone else went to bed, so I had to leave traces of my accomplishment through the house for them to find the next morning. So, but no, it's been a pretty successful 12 months, I think. When you look back, I think that the state title, the equivalent state title last year, was the last time I was defeated in a race meeting in the 4SS category. So, it's been 12 months of winning in the Sprint Master, and it's kudos. You know, I just jump in the thing and drive it, and I've said many times that it's kudos to Nick and John and Cody and everyone for giving me the equipment and the time to, and my wife and kids for giving me the time to go and play and have some fun.
Speaking of driving with Shay, Shay has always expressed concerns about being in the passenger seat with you behind the wheel. And so I took the liberty of actually getting a little bit of GoPro footage of the drive, and we've actually got some audio. And I never knew Shay spoke Italian, but she does a very, very good job. And here's the clip.
Questa macchina non è una Formula 1, non è incollata come una Formula 1 per terra. Oh signore, mamma, non puoi fare un giro solo. Vai a te, ti ha detto di andare piano.
Yeah, you've stitched me up here, haven't you?
Big time.
I'm very sensible. I don't know what she's getting at there, because I'm very sensible behind the wheel.
Well, that may sound like you with her behind the wheel.
That's definitely, that's more like it for sure.
I had to bite my tongue when we were in the car in Melbourne that time she went through the red. But, I A huge thank you goes out to our podium partner, Pro Kart's Race Centre, and our incredible sponsors. Your partnership allows us to continue bringing you this show and dive deeper into the world of motorsports. If your business adds value to the motorsport community, get in touch with us to become a Negative Camber partner. Watched MotoGP and felt sick to my stomach after watching that opening lap, and then started to celebrate for the first 15 laps of the Monza Grand Prix, and then felt sick to my stomach after that. Yeah. So I got sick twice.
Wasn't a good evening for you though, was it?
Oh God, I will go on to MotoGP and all that sort of stuff after, but it's not often you have motorsport miracles, but that was legitimately a miracle.
Absolutely.
To walk away from a crash like that, which is bruising on the legs, and we're talking about Pecco Miracles here, people. So it's
and racing this weekend as well. So to recover straight away and get straight back up on the donkey, it's Yeah, pretty good.
That's why we call it the Pecco Show, mate. He's indestructible, touch wood.
We'll talk
and that's
more
what
about
happened.
him later.
Yes, and that's what happens when you drink Pecco juice. And, hey, you know, Pecco juice got me through Barossa on the weekend. I woke up, no arm cramp too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That was what I was most happy with, because 12 months ago I could barely walk at the end of that.
Oh, we've just discovered a new drink as well, so we'll have to get you started on that one for the enduro at Bolivar in a few weeks' time. So,
do tell.
We've started on the prepped hydration drink.
I've heard about prepped hydration.
So yeah, we're big advocates for them trialing it out and seeing how we go. But yeah, I started it the weekend of Barossa, and it got me all through Barossa, racing both classes. And I said I woke up on Sunday morning feeling fresh as a daisy and jumped out of bed ready to go for a walk. So, you know, normally even after a practice day, I feel pretty average, but yeah, trying to get rid of all of those nasty things like Red Bulls and that kind of jazz. But seeing how the prepped takes us along a journey.
Well, I know Todd Hazelwood's a good fan, has been an ambassador for Prepped, and Matty White, who I have as my coach, has used Prepped a lot and endorses it too. And everyone that's used it has always been glowing about it. So
yeah, look, don't quiz me on the full science of it, and I'm probably not giving the best sales pitch here, but yeah, no, like just the hydration factor. Afterwards felt amazing. Even the day prior to Barossa, I was at the track at Bolivar, so I'd had a couple of big days in a row, and yeah, no, it felt pretty good on Sunday, and carried that energy through this week as well. So yeah, it's been so far so good, but watch this space and let's see how we go.
Red Mill Bakehouse 100. So it was 300 laps, but then due to overwhelming demand, we're talking about the SA Hire Kart Championship now, so due to overwhelming demand and requests by the championship drivers, they didn't want to do a 300-lap enduro. They wanted to do a 100-lap single-driver enduro, and so I'm going to blow my own horns here. Good leaders listen to the demand of people, and I changed the rules, and we've now made it 100-lap single-driver endurance race, and we're going to tweak it a little bit and make it NASCAR style with staged caution periods throughout. And there'll be a compulsory stop in the middle of it just to give drivers a 10-minute break to recover, refresh, and get on with it. So it still is going to be on September 24th. We have extended the entries now because of the change of format to September 20th for entries closed. It will still be at the Pro Karts, at Pro Karts Paraka, but Move Yourself Trailers have now become the major sponsor for the 300-lap enduro that will take place on November 5, which will also coincide with the state SA Championship trophy presentation as well. So, yeah, come on down. It's the entries are now live on the Scuderia Ferrari Club page, so www.sfcadelaide.com/online store. It's $170 per driver, and plenty of fun to be had on what is the Titan, twisty and tricky Pro Karts track.
Yeah, should be a good morning out. Won't last very long, but you might still make it to the Japanese Grand Prix and get to watch that, or whatever other motorsport's on the TV.
We might make it to lunchtime at that rate, so we'll see how we go.
Very possible. Very possible.
Get out there, support the event, support Pro Karts, support the series as well. Come out there and have some fun and enjoy yourself.
Get ready to ignite your racing passion at Pro Karts Race Centre, your ultimate destination for motorsport excellence. Our track isn't just a playground, it's a classroom where 25 years of racing knowledge come to life. Imagine having a team of seasoned experts guiding you from the rookie to the pro. Our driver coaching services aren't just about finding those elusive extra tenths on the track, they're about moulding winners. With hands-on guidance, racing line tips, and data analysis, you'll not only experience the thrill of speed, but the satisfaction of victory. Join us and witness the transformation of your racing game as our expertise propels you to the forefront of the competition. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. Pro Karts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
Just for our listeners at home, we've just posted some pictures of Leigh getting changed. There's a photograph that you're holding of yourself and Todd Hazelwood, who's a honorary member as part of the Negative Camber Hall of Fame, and yourself looking quite moppish in a haircut. You've clearly upped the hair game since then, but just give us a bit of background on that.
Yeah, I think these jeans, well, the ones that I had on before, I've since got changed. I thought you were congratulating me for fitting into those jeans, to be fair.
It's a fair effort considering the age, I've got to say. Yeah. I've got to say.
I think, look, I can't even put an exact date on them. I know we're in, when the massive bushfires were on in Melbourne and stuff, we went to go race at a Junior Sprint Classic or something in Victoria, and we'd stopped off at Mount Gambier on the way home to do some testing. And so that whatever, if you can correlate whatever year the massive bushfires that were happening all through Victoria were, then that was when that photo was taken. So I'm thinking like that's probably 10 years ago that photo was taken. And I still managed to jimmy myself into those jeans this afternoon just to, I know you love a pair of skinny jeans, so I just thought I would
a skinny pair of jeans on me. God.
So I thought I'd bring the old girls out and see if I could squeeze into them.
I've got to say, I'm going to sound like your wife, but good-looking rooster there back in the old days, mate. I'm sure there was some more bushfires happening outside of Victoria with those jeans on there, Leigh, but
my wife listens to this show.
Quick, give her a CPR. She's probably died in laughter. But,
the jeans had a pretty good record, let me just say.
Let's get this back on track, shall we?
If you need confirmation of that, you can ask our good friend, the man, the myth, the biscuits, all about them.
Did you pull off the Leonardo Harrison lines in those jeans?
All the time.
Oh my God! Yeah. There we go. Before we go into karting, we put a post out asking for some of our listeners, or all of our listeners, to give us some Q&A. So this one, I'm sure Pete won't mind, but Peter Meal, who, by the way, nearly came away with the and I mean this with the utmost respect, but it would have been the upset of the decade.
Steve Bradbury moment for sure.
Well, yeah, Steve Bradbury moment, but nearly pulled off the upset of the decade for the 4SS State Titles. We'll talk about that later. But he's been a loyal listener of ours, and he came in with this question. So, you see so many MotoGP riders riding motocross and flat track for practice, so let's say Rossi's Ranch is a great example, and they all say it's an excellent practice session that translates to sealed circuit racing. Do you think that the same theory is correct for dirt karts to bitumen?
I think yes, but the other way around. Bitumen to dirt karts and coming back is a much easier and much better training tool, I suppose, than if you're a dirt karter and you come to bitumen to then go back to dirt karts. So I know that there's a lot of guys that have raced bitumen karts and then they go and race on the dirt, like Daryl Tolmer, even the man, the myth, Biscuits, does a half decent job on the dirt. You know, there's the fundamentals that you learn from being on the bitumen can correlate into the dirt side of things, and you learn a little bit of extra kart control, which helps you in the wet and that sort of stuff. But I think the fundamentals, if you learn them driving on the dirt, then to try to come to bitumen, the smoothness, the mid-corner rotation speeds, all the rest of it, that doesn't help you to go back to dirt. So it depends which way you're going, and I'm a big fan of seat time is the best sort of time. Yes, basically, in short, if you're a bitumen karter and you go and race on the dirt, you come back and race bitumen, I think you're definitely going to find yourself having better kart control, more time in the seat so you can feel what the kart's doing. You've got to drive on the dirt with the back end rather than the front end, so you learn the feeling of the kart in different ways that it wants to do things. So I think it definitely helps.
Yeah, and I suppose the biggest, I guess, testimony to that would be Todd Hazelwood, because he came from dirt and then moved into bitumen, and well, there you go.
Yeah, and so Todd was the same. Like, he still had a few fundamentals from the dirt that needed some ironing out when he first got into the bitumen cars, but once he sort of ironed those bits out, he was an absolute jet. And then going from bitumen back to the dirt, which we did a few times, yeah, he picked, like, was straight back into it and winning races still. So yeah, I remember one night we raced at Barossa, and then we had the dirt cart packed in the trailer ready to go. I think it was a Father's Day weekend, actually. So we raced at Barossa on the Saturday night, and then Sunday morning we rocked up at Adelaide Dirt Kart Club, and he pretty well won both race meetings. So that was a fun weekend.
Happy Father's Day, Rusty. There you go. That was right. A good gift for
Rusty him. Wasn't even there. He was away with work and stuff.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. me and Sharon and Lauren and Todd, and up to the Barossa and then out to the dirt. That was the first time I actually even mechanicked on a dirt kart, but so that was heaps good fun as well.
Fingers crossed Todd still has a drive in the grid for next season.
And I think expanding to 2 cars helps him. Helps him out for sure. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the rest of the driver market goes.
I don't know. I saw some footage of Toddy sitting passenger seat in one of the Australian Rally Championship cars, and I could see Toddy pulling out some well, maybe not WRC, but definitely ARC stuff.
Yeah. Like the future goes that way for sure. He's got the dirt background already, so yeah, I think his main focus is obviously supercars. But who knows? Who knows what could happen? TCR, even all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. Well, Alex Rullo is actually racing in Australian Rally Championship now. So I saw his profile pop up the other day on Instagram. Started looking at it again. He's been doing a heap of stuff with in the ARC with Hyundai. So there you go. There's life after motorsport outside of supercars too. We all know that.
Absolutely.
Any other questions that we've got?
Well, we did actually have one about why did the podcast be called Negative Camber?
Oh, okay, cool. So to briefly give you a little bit of background, at the time I was just a general member, and there was talk that the club wanted to create a podcast, and it was given to me to run it. And so I spent probably about 12 months researching and going through podcasts and listening to all sorts. And so when it came to the title, there was probably about 6 options that I had that were all kind of motorsport related. So I quickly identified the fact that it couldn't just be about the Ferrari club, because it'd be over and done within 15 minutes. And I wanted to have it as a motorsport show. So it was going to have it was originally going to be called the Motorsport Show. And then I thought, well, that's a bit unoriginal. And then I had probably about 6 titles that I'd written down, some that were horse-based because of Ferrari, so like Under the Hoof, which was, as one, or Blazing Saddles was another, but it sounded more like a comedy routine. And then there was like the 6th Gear, and then there was Active Suspension was another one, and all this sort of stuff. And then at the time, Adam had suggested that he'd gone onto a forum and heard there was a username called Negative Camber. And I thought, okay, I'll put that down on the title. And then I sat down one night and did a series of intros. So welcome to the as Motorsport Show, and Negative Camber just sounded the best. And Negative Camber is really just posture on a car. It looks really cool, like amazing. And so that was pretty much how it stuck. And then literally when I made that decision, you popped up on chat and you were coming back from Q8, and I asked the question, and the rest is history. So, and it stuck. I can't imagine the show now being called anything else.
Yep.
Everyone listened to it and enjoyed it, and It's been onwards and upwards ever since.
Now we're here.
Exactly.
That's a good first segment of question time. So yeah, like if anyone's listening and they've got some questions, jump on the Facebook page or Instagram us privately, or speak to us at the track or anything like that. And we'll make sure you can stay anonymous, or you can have your name read out. We'll get back to you each and every show.
Yep, absolutely.
Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners.
So you made the decision to, obviously we're talking 4-stroke state titles now. Firstly, can I say, before I cross over to you for questions, how good of an event was that held by the Barossa Go-Kart Club? I think they need to be applauded for putting on a great state title.
Yeah, no, they did a great job. Would have liked a little bit more love from the canteen, but if that's the only thing I can pick from the race meeting, then they've done a great job. Schedule was, the timetable was tight for the racing, and they still managed to squeeze in a nice dinner break to let the sun go down and let us finish off the racing under lights. But it was good fun, great meeting, and everyone it felt really relaxed and chill, which is what you want from a race meeting.
You look like you walked away with a mountain of food when I bumped into you between Heat 3 and the final. What love are you needing?
Yeah, it was food that I definitely did not want to put in my belly. Okay. But yeah, I had to eat, so I just wanted a ham and salad roll or something. Make a hamburger, but just put some ham in there rather than put a burger in there, and that was not coming forward. So anyway, is what it is. Ended up with eating a chicken burger or whatever, and it was all good.
Yeah, look,
I was fed. That's the main thing.
That was the main thing. Yep, and clearly it didn't impact on your performance. So did it even contribute to the weight scales in the light class at all? Did you tip over a little weight?
In lights, I was just a little bit over.
Just a little bit over?
A little bit. But I thought I would lose weight through the day, but I maintained my weight the whole day. So, I guess that's probably the way that my body was using the water in it as well. The hydration was being absorbed back into my body and keeping me hydrated rather than just coming out.
Can I say Himalayan salt with water is God's gift. Yeah. I cannot advocate that highly enough because of the fact that the minerals in the Himalayan salt, it actually the body retains the fluid and the muscle.
Yeah.
So that was my secret to success. But I forgot my replenishment at home in the morning. So I luckily had 1.5 litres prior to the night before. So my body maintained it. But I was a bit fearful when I realised I'd left it sitting on the table and I was leaving at 5:30 in the morning to make my way to the track.
You probably would have won if you'd had your replenishment, but you got to remember these things.
To be honest with you, I don't think so. But so you made the insane decision to race 2 classes in the 4 strokes for Barossa.
Yep.
Why?
Well, why not?
Well, that's a good rhetorical question, yes.
I was going to be there anyway. Numbers were struggling a little bit, especially in the light class. I thought by the time the sun goes down and the track in the nighttime is ready to go, I probably won't be heaps far off with the extra weight, carrying an extra 21 kilos compared to some of those other guys. I was hoping as well that there'd be a little bit of a break between races, not almost back to back. But again, with the lack of entries and stuff, that was unavoidable. The club did the best that they could do to give us all a fair break, which was nice. But have some fun. Why not?
Yeah, fair enough. And to go back to back, I mean, you'd qualified 3rd actually in the mediums, which when I was hearing over the PA, because you were pretty much on straight after us, more or less. So I didn't even get a chance outside of the odd peep here or there to check out, but I was hearing over the PA, and you got 3rd, and I thought, interesting. This is very, very interesting. So what happened in qualifying, and then what did you do to make changes over the course of... Because come the final, you'd won.
Yeah.
Only by a second, but you won.
Yeah, I think it was probably a little bit more than that with a few laps to go, but with lap traffic and stuff, I sort of backed out. In the last lap, I was like a second and a half slower than any other lap I'd done in the final. But qualifying, I think... What hurt me was that I'd qualified for lights first, and so while the tyre was on relatively straight away, I didn't go any faster. And we're talking an absolute, I think it was only a 10th and a half or something, so it was not very much, and the tyre was too hot, so the kart just didn't want to work as amazingly as it could. I think I did a 26.8 or 26.9 or something in the first practice session that I did, which was the fastest in that practice session. And then I struggled in the 27 flats pretty well in both classes, right until the finals again. And then we sort of, got rid of some tyre pressure and the thing came back alive. So I think I was just trying to run too high in the tyre pressures mostly. But, it was fun starting 3rd and having to work my way through and get to the front again. Yeah, it was nice racing with Sam, and he kept me honest the whole race meeting.
Yeah, Sam was racing the championship winner from last year. So Tim Murphy's Arrow AX. I can't remember what that one is. AX2, 3,
AX8,
something like that.
AX9.
But Sam loved it, absolutely loved it, and obviously responded well to his drive because he's been mainly 2-stroke.
Yeah.
But now racing in an Arrow, so there was some crossover for him, which was quite smart in terms of his prep. But it was nice to see a challenge though. Like it was, genuine, hard racing. You weren't going to walk away with it. Not that you don't want to see you walk away with it, but for yourself, it would have been gratifying rather than sort of winning by 6 or 7 seconds. At least you earned it.
Yeah, 100%. He kept me honest, like I said, and I had to work for it. A few passes, couple of incidents that we had together, and some contact and stuff. But at the end of the day, it was all pretty fair, and we had some fun along the way. And I think because we raced lights first in the final, I had it probably a little bit easier than I would have had otherwise because I went out in the same tyres and they were already up to temperature before we rolled out the grid. So I think my first 2 or 3 laps I was putting in some good lap times and they were still trying to get some temp into their tyres. So the final was probably the easiest drive that I had all day. But it was good fun having some good battles with Sam. He always races hard and fair, which is good. I think the last time I raced him was the state title last year as well. So I knew he was going to be fast. He was the one that I was probably the most concerned about in the field. But good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And the feedback that I'd got from even Anthony was just how quickly the Maxxis tyres turned on during the day in particular. Whereas with the Vigo, which I ran, it took probably 2-3 laps minimum each stint, no matter what time of the day, for them to sort of come up to speed. And I think the biggest challenge that I had when I was racing was as best as you could try and keep with the pack in those 2 or 3 laps, or they were coming up temp.
Yeah.
But by that stage, the pack had gone, because you can brake so much deeper and harder with the Maxxis, and you get so much more corner speed and grip compared to the Vega. It's just doing the best you can.
Yeah, Ormsby in lights ran the Vega, and he was quick pretty well straight away. I think he did struggle the first couple of laps in each race, and we sort of pounced on him a fair bit, but he ended up winning lights on the Vega as well, and it seemed that as the race went on, the Maxxis sort of fell off a little bit, and he stayed the same. So looking back, it was probably maybe the tyre of choice for the weekend, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see who rocks up with what for the Enduro in a few weeks' time as well.
Yeah, look, it's I ideally wanted to go to get Maxxis. I just couldn't get stock in. So I mean, that was a bummer. But for me, Anthony had the Maxxis. We knew that he could get. They were only 2 rounds old, so they still had plenty of life. And his go-kart in particular, it's just as soon as you drop it on the ground, it's quick. He leaves a little bit for kart preparation. That's let's leave it at that. But he's outside of the first change he'd made on setup. Pretty much all this year was putting seat stays in for the final, and he ummed and ahed about it, and we thought, nah, just do it. What have you got to lose? And then James Place we're talking about the heavy class now. James Place. I don't want to heap. He's a good listener of ours. I want to heap crap on him, but yeah, mate, I don't know what you were thinking going into Gumtree, but that was and skittled everyone and changed the race, and even he tagged. So James loses the kart underbrakes going into the Genki, which is turn 4, I think, the left-hander, and skittled 3/4 of the field, and Tim had a very lucky escape because he got tagged and just held on with it, and then had half a lap gap on everyone else. Daniel Bowden was lucky to get it out of the marbles, and I had half spun to avoid T-boning Dave Skinner, who lost it under brakes. Anthony got skittled, and then the gaps opened up, and Pete Meal has just gone through what would have been my line because he was directly behind me, and ended up getting a half a lap break on the rest of the field, so he was in second.
Yep.
And to his credit, he kept it really consistent, set his best times of the day, and it was up to everyone to chase. And so Anthony and I at one point were 3rd and 4th, and Anthony was clearly quicker, so I just sort of sat behind him. And then it was battling with Dave, battling with Daniel Bowden, James Place, and then Anthony held on to finish 3rd, and James came back and finished 2nd.
Yep.
Tim went on to win, so he's won 4 straight state titles in 4-stroke. Mm-hmm. And then Bowden, I think, ended up finishing 4th, I think, to come back from the rear and
in the gravel track.
In the gravel track as well. Yeah, almost lapped down. So it was a great event, good hard racing, and it was that final was funny because it's I was talking to Nick, the Oracle, and a couple of others beforehand, and I turned around to him and I said, I've got a really funny feeling that something's going to happen in this heavy final. And I said, I actually think Anthony will get 3rd. I wasn't expecting that to happen. But it was funny because, as I said to Anthony as we were driving home, I said, I'm half spinning this go-kart and trying to save it, and we've managed to do that. But half of my head is thinking, save it, and half of my head's thinking, I can't believe that what I just predicted is actually happening. But in the meantime, it's to the detriment of everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
So, but it actually made the race, and otherwise, to see the others come back and fight through the field was actually pretty good. So, and being able to dice with those guys like Dave and Daniel and whatever as they were coming back was great as well. So moral of the story is it's always hard to battle when you're 15 kilos overweight.
Yeah, 100%. I faced the same thing in lights. I was giving away heaps, but yeah, it was still good fun mixing it with them and the racing in that class. Like the final in lights was probably one of the most fun races I've had in a long time. And I know Cody as well, absolutely loved it, even though we finished 4th and 5th or whatever we finished, we didn't make the podium in lights. It was, it was an absolute laugh and a half driving out there, and we likened it to racing on a Tuesday night at Pro Karts Paraka in the social racing, because it was just flat out people overtaking all over the joint, and it was a bit of a shame that the heavy final ended up the way it did, with Tim winning quite convincingly, because that was shaping up to be a pretty stoker race as well. I'm not sure what I was doing, but at some point I came back to the tent and I had a look and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Something major's happened. So So, yeah, now I've seen the video and stuff. And it's, it was pretty cool. But good on Ant for holding it together and finishing up the front in third place.
Well, it happened right in front of me. So I was sitting behind Dave, and we've come into the Genki, and all of a sudden and James Place is almost 2 karts ahead of me, and I've just seen him lock the rears, and he's just started to pirouette.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's all gone off onto the left-hand side, and I've seen Dave start to spin, and all of a sudden I'm facing his side pod, and I've had to lock the brake to try and avoid spinning into him. I just sort of sit back on it now, and I think, could I have just somehow slowed my brain down just for another microsecond and actually just gone across the ripple strip and let go of the brake?
There's always something else you could have done.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think in that moment in time you could have, because it's just instinctive that your left foot just goes, straight on the pedal. But look, at the end of the day,
if you had more seat time and you had better confidence in your go-kart, you would have known how hard to press the brake to slow yourself down without locking up.
I'll have you know that I know how to do that.
Why didn't you do it?
Well,
you could have been sitting there with a second-place trophy on your man.
Nah, look, to be honest with you, man, there's no way I would have got second. Probably would have been in front of Pete where he was, but I still wasn't fast enough to keep those guys at bay.
Yeah.
So, it would have been maybe top 4, top 5 if I was lucky. But, I don't know. It's just one of the things. Cold tyres too probably didn't help as well.
No,
anyway,
definitely not.
We'll quickly run through the results. We'll start with 4-stroke heavy. Tim Murphy first, James Place second, Anthony Lemura third. Scuderia Ferrari Club Adelaide's first state championship podium as well, which is great. 4SS Cadet was Alexandros Villanis, Dr. Des Harrell in second, and Harry Martin third. 4SS Light was Anthony Ormsby first, Jackson King second, Wes Bowden third. Final event before he heads off to Spain. In fact, they're probably there already for the 4-stroke World Cup. 4SS Junior, Levi Ross was first, Lucas O'Regan was second, and Ed McEwen third. 4SS Medium was Mr. Leigh Harrison first, Sam Yettinen second, and Lee Chesson in third. Cadet 9 and 12, Keegan Hunter first, Jet Herring second, and Diesel Waddle in third. KA3 Junior was Hudson Tainty. Then we had Tag Restricted with Steve Jenkins, followed by John Ellis, and then Daniel Anderson in third place. And that was the roundup of the 4SS State Cup.
Time to discover more than just a track. It's time to find your racing family at Pro Karts Race Centre. We're more than a racing facility. We're a community of enthusiasts bound by our shared love for motorsport. What sets us apart? Our commitment to inclusivity. We're breaking barriers, welcoming rookies and pros alike to experience the thrill of racing. With our low investment pathways into karting, we're paving the way for the next generation of racers. Whether you're a seasoned racer seeking camaraderie or a beginner eager to learn, Pro Karts Race Centre is your home. Join our vibrant community, feel the passion and share the rush of victory with friends who share your passion. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. Pro Karts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
We continue our karting segment, and we now start talking let's call it the 2-stroke state championships, or the South Australian State Titles, which will be held this coming weekend at the Southern Go-Kart Club on the full international track.
Championship layout.
The championship layout.
Yep.
And I guess you're going to be there as the spannerman for Pro Karts Racing,
yep.
I'm assuming.
Yep.
And let's do a little bit of a preview of it. What's your insight?
Yeah, well, it's lots of interstaters coming across, which is awesome. I think it was something like 46% of the field is actually from interstate. I guess if you're listening and you're from South Australia, then probably you should have entered. No need to be scared of a big race meeting like this. And if you're listening and you're from Karting Australia, you should have released the Karting Australia National Championship calendar sooner, because if Bolivar is to get the round for the Nationals next year, then there's no reason why this event couldn't have been 250 plus entries, similar to what we've seen through every other event of its similar kind throughout the year. So I know that there's some disappointment around. I don't know why Karting Australia haven't been able to release the calendar any sooner. Hopefully we can get some answers over the weekend. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame that Southern can't show off their track with a really, really big race meeting to welcome the first state championship since the championship layout's been revised. But like I say, there's still a good contingent of interstaters come down. Some really, really stacked fields with some good numbers. So I know we're super looking forward to having a go. We were at the track yesterday, just putting the finishing touches on a few of the setups, seeing if what we could drag out of it. We'll be at the track from Thursday, set up, Friday all day practice, and then Saturday, Sunday for race meetings. So if you are listening, you are around 16th and 17th of this month at Bolivar Raceway, Southern Go-Kart Club. Type it into your Google Maps and come out. Free spectator entry. It's going to be an absolutely epic race meeting for sure.
I'm just having a look at some intel here that we're very fortunate to have access to. Yes, it's some big names that are going to be entering. We do know that Max Walton's actually making the trip over with the Paralin team.
Yep.
For KA2, I believe it is.
KA3
Junior Light and Heavy. So let's go through the classes, mate. I reckon that'll be the best way to fire off some names. And
we'll start with Cadet 9.
All right, do that.
7 entries in the field. Some of the standout drivers for me, the ones to watch, I would say Harlan Bell, Jet Herring, Local Boy, and Jarvis Hindle. Those 3 will be hard to beat in Cadet 9. I've put down my champion as Harlan Bell, a little Queenslander. I know he's been running pretty well at the Australian Kart Championships this year. He's been being helped along by Johnny Grother, who's part of the Saudi team as well. So I think Harlan will be hard to beat at Bolivar if he can get his head around the track. Cadet.
Will that be his first time he's been there?
First time he would have been there, yeah.
Okay.
But there's enough practice sessions on Friday to sort it out, and he's learned heaps of new tracks this year with the AKC.
Yep.
Cadet 12, 17 entries in that field. My ones to watch, and this is a stacked field. There's so many names to choose from. Jackson Brasher, Archie Bristow, Cooper Foley, Scarlett Pittam, Leigh Harrison, and Dominic McCurry. I think the 2 South Australians, Scarlett and Dominic, in that list, they've done a whole heap of laps around Bolivar. They're going to be hard to beat, but at the moment I've put down Leigh Harrison as my state champion for Cadet 12.
Yep.
Again, he's done 100 million laps around Bolivar, so he will be hard to beat, but he's got some very stiff competition. KA3 Junior Heavy, 12 entries, which is good to see that field get up to 12 entries. Some ones to watch: Max Walton, Matthew Basso, Isaac McNeil, and Hugo Garraway. Unfortunately for the rest of those guys, I think that one's Max Walton's to win with his eyes closed. I think he'll do that one quite easily after winning a couple of other state championships at the same weight division this year. Moving on to KA3 Junior Light, and this one is a huge field, 24 entries. Again, this is stacked. It could go one of 10 ways, but my ones to watch, again, Max Walton, Giuseppe Imbrogno and Noah Enright, Kai Burke, Maxim Kerwin, Patrick Buckley, and Will Thompson. It was super hard to pick my champion for this one, but I've gone with Noah. Yeah, home track, and he's fast. We saw that with his AKC run, finishing just shy of the top 10 after a DNF in one of the heats. So I've got to go with Noah, but I think between Noah, Max Walton, and Kai Burke, there's going to be an absolute ding-dong over battle there. KA3 Senior Light, 17 entries in that field. Josh Elliston, Leo Ianella, Nicky Watson, Robbie Graham, Luca Polombaro, Beck Connell, and I've put Cody on there as well, because if he rocks up on Friday and Saturday and Sunday and is ready to drive, he's probably thereabouts enough that he can hang on the back of those guys and girls and make some stuff happen. Unfortunately, for my boss man there, I've put the champion down as Leo Ianella. I think he's going to be hard to beat on home soil as well. Tag 1, 2...
Demotion.
I think Cody will understand. Tag 125 Light, another big field, 24 entries. A lot of interstaters again, but again, I've got Angus Wallace, Jacob Dowson, Ryan Morgan, Jacob Chandler. I've heard that Jackson Susel and Harlow, who had entered for Tag 125 Heavy, is going to race lights as well, so I've put him in here just in case he does. And I've put Cody in there as well, because again, he on the day, if he's in the right mind, he can pull a lap out, and he races a lot better than he qualifies. So fingers crossed we jag a good qualifying spot. Again, I didn't go with my boss as the blue plate winner for this one. Maybe putting some fire underneath him to try and prove me wrong, but I've gone with Jacob Dowson, who's going to be strong at Bolivar. Tag Masters, 13 entries in that class. Brett Fortagna making his return to the race seat.
That was my intel.
Yeah, as the Prez. Chris Prestige, Simon Major, Shane Howard, and John Ellis. You can never rule out Johnny Ellis. Now, as much as the Prez Brett is going to hate me for saying this, I haven't picked him. I've gone with Chris Prestige just for the fact that Brett's done some laps in testing, but Chris has done more race laps, and I think that will show come Sunday. But I think between Chris, Simon Major, Brett Fortagna, Shane Howard, there's going to be a bit of a race there, so be an exciting one to watch. Tag Restricted Light, there's 14 entries in that class. Shane Moreland, Anthony Ormsby, Sam Mutinen, Ben Press. There's 4 guys that could easily win that class. Based on form and form alone at the moment, it's going to be pretty close between Ben and Shane Moreland, Ben Press and Shane Moreland, but I've picked Ben Press to win the blue plate in that class. Again, he's been pretty unstoppable so far this year, so it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out.
Actually, first time I'd seen Ben race properly was when he raced you in the restricted class at the club meet. Pretty impressive. It was the first time I'd actually seen him race properly, and I was very impressed with what I saw, so no surprise that you're going to put him down that way.
Very good driver for sure, and he's done a lot of laps in that category at Bolivar as well. So moving on to the last class that will form for the event, Tag Restricted Medium, 9 entries. Jackson Callow, Jack Ryan from Mount Gambier is making the trip down, and James Place is racing Tag Restricted Medium as well. He's traded in the 4SS for a 125. I don't think I can go past Jackson Callow in that class. I think he's going to be too hard to beat. The medium weight, he's been on fire every race meeting that he has done when football hasn't gotten in the way. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But that's my classes and my champions. I'll look back on this in a fortnight's time, and we'll see what my strike rate was like.
Is the weather looking pretty good?
Yeah, I thought this whole week's actually the weather's turned it on. It's going to be mid to high 20s all week. The weekend's going to be sort of 23, 24 degrees, so perfect weather to go racing, perfect weather to come and spectate some racing. Get on down to Southern Go-Kart Club, like I said, out at Bolivar, just off of the new expressway there, as you're heading out towards Port Wakefield. But it's going to be a wicked race meeting. Like I said, I'm just super upset that we couldn't work out whether Bolivar was going to get the round of the Nationals, because, man, I'd love to see Bolivar alive with 250 plus people for a state championship again, and love to see the track take rubber with that many people. Like, it's already going to be pretty good with the way the heat is this week. Monday would be a sick day to go out to the track, the day after all that rubber's down. I would have loved to have seen Bolivar really coming alive with 250 plus entries. Wasn't to be. Fingers crossed that it does get the round at the Nationals as the opening round next year, because it'll be an absolute spectacle. If they do get it in its opening round, look, I can predict 350, 360 easy, which will be absolutely amazing. I reckon that's been a long time since Bolivar's had that many people at the race meetings. So let's wait and see what the Karting Australia calendar looks like, and we'll keep our fingers crossed.
You've reached the checkered flag of another episode of Negative Camber the Motorsport Show, proudly brought to you by Pro Karts Race Centre. A huge thank you to you, our incredible listeners. Your support and passion for motorsports fuels our enthusiasm to bring you the latest results, analysis, and interviews from the racing world. Keep that FOMO at bay by subscribing to Negative Camber on your favourite podcast platform. We'd also love it if you could leave us a review and share the show with your fellow racing enthusiasts. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, Negative Camber is more than just a podcast. We're a community of dedicated fans who live and breathe motorsports. Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners. Until next time, stay fueled with passion, embrace the Negative Camber, and keep chasing those podium finishes.